in mind the entire time. I'm not going to blow it here in the finals. So, number 1 versus number 2 in the top 8. They'll meet in the finals. They were our last 2 undefeated players, and we are underway with a fabled passage to kick off the finals here of SCG Indy. Ben Wienburg is going to start things with a basic island. He'll pass the turn back. Ingram predictably will sacrifice that fabled passage. Island or swamp on the way, and it'll be a basic island that Peter puts on the battlefield. He'll shuffle, present. We'll be underway here for turn number 2 in just a moment. Ingram does have a black source of mana. You see it there with the Watery Grave entering the battlefield untapped. And now let's get a look. Our first of many discard spells here in the finals. Wienburg's going to separate it and make it easy for Peter. You see the Ipnu Rivulet, the Fetid Pools, the Fabled Passage, and the Swamp alongside Thassa's Oracle, Dig Through Time, and Thought Eraser.
Not a very good hand here from Wienburg. The Thassa's Oracle pretty close to a mulligan in the initial hands. Doesn't really do a whole lot. But one discarded, one Dig Through Time. And interesting to see, is Peter's hand strong enough, or does he have another discard spell to follow up with, such that he's not worried about the Dig Through Time? Or should he just be taking the just highest ceiling card in the matchup?
Well, Thought Eraser's going to bite the dust. Ingram will Surveil. Looks like he's going to leave that card on top. We're headed back Wienburg's way. Wienburg looks like he just drew another land. So his hand is not the best. Will Ben go towards just casting Thassa's Oracle? Looks like he won't. He'll just play a Swamp. Pass the turn back over to Ingram. Ingram will draw. Ingram has an opt. Top card. Stays on top. Picked up a copy of Watery Grave. This is an island. That is a passing of the turn. Ben's going to cycle the Fetid Pools. Drew a copy of Thoughtseize. And now he'll draw for the turn. Looks like another copy of Dig Through Time. Discard spells. Great place to start here if you're Wienburg. He's going to do exactly that. So here is a Thoughtseize. Peter will put his hand on the table right away. You'll see a Fatal Push, an Inverter of Truths, an Opt, a Dig Through Time, and a Watery Grave here for Ingram.
I'm guessing that we're going to be taking a look at the Dig Through Time here. It's being the most meaningful card in the hand.
Okay.
The Inverter is not that threatening in the short term. No way to combo out in hand. Nothing in the graveyard that facilitates a combo kill.
Well, Ben's leaning towards Dig. Doesn't surprise you much, right?
Does not.
Anything else here for Ben? Outside of a land drop, of course.
That's just the question of if you want to do something with Thassa's Oracle here.
Mm-hmm. Fabled Passage to land. We're going to pass that turn back over to Ingram, who will play an Opt on the end step. Opt will resolve. Top card goes to the bottom. New card coming here for Ingram, so he'll draw that. He'll untap those 2 lands, and he'll draw a card for his 4th turn of the game. And Island is that draw step. Did find a copy of Thoughtseize off of the Opt, and here is the Thoughtseize. So, Dig Through Time, plural. There are 2 of them. One's hitting the graveyard. Thassa's Oracle, Ipnu Rivulet, and a Swamp is what Ben is working with. Ben now has 4 cards in the graveyard. Fabled Passage could easily make it 5. So Dig Through Time will not be that hard for him to cast in this game. There's Water Grave that enters the battlefield tap there for Ingram. And it looks like we might be heading back Wienburg's way. Though Ingram does have 6 cards in his graveyard, so he's pretty set up for Dig Through Time as well. Ben going to take a moment, sacrifice that Fabled Passage to get himself a basic island. Of course, it's entering the battlefield tapped. Looks like he might be doing a little bit of shortcutting. And there we are. Ipnu Rivulet into main phase Dig. No surprise there. Players have done such a great job here this weekend of taking the opportunity to resolve Dig while the window is open.
Yeah, especially in spots where you can follow up with Thoughtseize, and you can see Wienburg here very intentionally leaving that Swamp available.
Wienburg going to take a look at the top 7 cards. Of course, take 2 with him. He'll also consult the couple of cards that are in his hand before finalizing this selection. Ben with 3 cards in hand, and Peter knows most of them. Narset is a game changer. And I would say with Ingram with the first real haymaker, not to undersell the power of dig through time, but Narset has been extremely impactful in these mirror matches.
Yeah, I mean, it cuts the legs out from under Jace and is also just extremely powerful in absolute terms.
Yeah,
and
Peter's
Wienburg knows the coast is Ingram rather knows the coast is clear on all of this, because Wienburg, I believe, wisely left up a swamp there in case he hit Thoughtseize off that dig. But that means no blue mana to represent Mystical Dispute, and so Ingram is free to just tap out for these blue cards.
That's exactly what Ingram is going to do. Narset yielded a dig. 6 cards in the graveyard means that Ingram is able to dig right away off of those 2 copies of Watery Grave. He's very quickly made his selection. He knows exactly what he's looking for. No land to play, and he'll just pass the turn back over to Wienburg. Ben with a Drowned Catacomb. And just going to pass the turn back. So Narset still remains on the battlefield here for Ingram. Ingram will draw a card. You can see he has a Jace, Wielder of Mysteries for now. He's going to take a look at the top 4 one more time. Last time it was a dig through time. This time, it's a dig through time.
Get to that one later.
We sure will.
And by later, I mean maybe one turn.
Ingram going to tap 4 mana. He says, I'm going to go for this right now. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. You got anything to handle this? Wienburg going to tap some mana here. He's going to cycle of Fetid Pools, draw a card. He's able to do that. Can't draw another one with Narset on the battlefield. So, Jace is in. Elevator going up. Ingram's going to mill 2 in Choked Estuary, Fabled Passage, and draw himself a card. Planeswalker advantage 2-0 here for Ingram. Starting to run away with things a little bit.
And threatening another dig.
Now, I will note, Wienburg does have Inverter and Thassa's Oracle in hand. So the 1-2 is there, but I think he might want to try to clear the pack. Clear the way here, with a Thought Eraser. Let's take a look at the grip. Push, Inverter, Dig, Downfall, Narset. Oof. Dispute. I'd be feeling pretty good about this hand if I was Ingram.
A tough one to poke a hole into, and hard to combo out in the face of all this ability to break up the devotion with no Planeswalkers on Wienburg's side of the battlefield. This is a lot to work through.
It is. I mean, taking care of Dig is step 1 of many here for Ben. I mean, one way to try to sidestep this thing, and obviously this is not an easy way to go about doing it, is to just combo out and kill your opponent.
Right.
But it's not easy.
The problem is that at that path, 1, that's just hard to do against that hand in absolute turns. 2, it probably involves not taking dig through time and taking some other piece of interaction. And once you sort of put your hand on the table, if that's the thing that's going on, Ingram can play around it pretty easily.
Drowned Catacomb very quickly played there for Peter.
I think you just got to take dig. It's the best card in the hand. and just hope that you can kind of maybe Ingram makes a mistake. Maybe he slips up. Maybe you draw, a timely Thought Seize with 7 mana and can do it all in one shot.
Ingram going to mill himself, Island and Watery Grave to the graveyard. New card in the hand. Send it back to Ben. That's what it looks like. Ingram, incredibly, incredibly patient. Land 7 here for Ben. Okay. It's got to be Jace, right?
I don't know. Could be Inverter.
Well, 3 blue, only 1 black.
Right.
So
with the tapping, yes.
Yes.
That would give it away.
yeah. I kind of set you up for failure there.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Well, I thought because of the thought erasure now in the graveyard that might have been enough incentive for Wienburg to say, you know what, I can try to set up the combo. I get 1 look at a discard spell, but I don't think that would even be enough to do it. The problem is that Jace doesn't really do anything right now.
Yeah, weirdly, it's in one of those spots because Narset's on the other side of the battlefield. It's
Right.
kind of a blank card,
I mean, it's sort of ambiently threatening for combo applications and such, but in terms of trying to get back into the card advantage game where Wienburg is at a massive deficit, doesn't do anything there.
All right, Jace up. I'm going to mill Wienburg this time. Hero's Downfall on the land going to the graveyard. Pretty nice hit there. Cleaning out the Downfall. And now here is a backup Narset.
And I really like Ingram there going after Wienburg's deck. Major reason is he's in such command in terms of cards and ability to react that really the only way that he can lose this game is by Wienburg just comboing out in one big burst. The larger that you make his graveyard, the harder that is to enable because he can't just go Inverter, Oracle all in one turn and have a deck that's small enough that Wienburg can win the game via the Oracle trigger. So that game about who do you mill is very complicated, and I think Ingram's navigated it very well over the course of this tournament, and right now informed by the fact of I'm really far ahead. The riskiest thing that can happen here is Wienburg, he rips the Thought Seize and suddenly he can do it all in one turn. So the more that Ingram can pad against that possibility, the more he can leverage his card advantage and win the game at his leisure.
Well, Thoughtseize was the draw step here this turn for Ben Wienburg, so he's going to start with the powerful discard spell, and we'll see how Peter wants to respond, assuming he does want to at all. And it looks like he will. Hero's Downfall is going to go after Jace. So the Planeswalker is off the battlefield, and now the Thoughtseize does resolve. You see multiple copies of Inverter of Truths. Along with a Mystical Dispute, another copy of Jace Wielder of Mysteries, Fatal Push, and old Opt. Good old Opt. Nothing beats Opt.
Wish I saw some more Invasion Ops at these tables. Love that art. Although I also really like the Exilod Opt quite a bit. The Pirate. A lot to think about.
Best of luck poking a hole.
Yeah.
All right, Mystical Dispute goes away, it looks like.
Very nice for Ingram there with his 1 mana to have 2 pieces of interaction up in Mystical Dispute and Fatal Push. Just asking a lot for Wienburg to be able to do everything in one shot here, which is probably the way it's got to be. Even if it's unlikely, don't know if there's another path.
Well, there's an Inverter. And to me, this is more or less saying, look, I got to try.
Well, there's still some time. I mean, Wienburg's deck is going to be looking at, what are we looking at here? 8 cards, 9 cards, 10 cards now. So it's not go right away, but there's two discard spells in the mix, and Wienburg still with the Rivulet to accelerate to the finish line should that opportunity afford itself. So he doesn't have to go in one turn. He can play for a little while. But yeah, he's declaring that he's pivoting towards, someone's got to go.
If I play this game as things are currently going, I'm going to lose.
For sure.
Peter's got all these cards. He's got Narset on the battlefield, brickwalling my ability to draw cards. It's got to be about something else. And we're making it about the inverter plan.
I think this path is not the most likely to succeed, but as you mentioned, the other path of just playing a conventional game of Magic, I don't think there's any way to win that way.
Yeah, that ain't it. That just ain't it. Here's an op from Ingram. Top card becomes the bottom one now. New card coming here for Peter. He's going to tap all 7 of those land after cutting Ben's deck. Active Jace, active Narset. And it's time to roll up the sleeves and figure out how to still maintain the ability to win this game. We'll get a count on how many cards Wienburg does have here. We'll check with our table spotters, so you folks at home will know exactly how many. And the number is 9. Narset elevator going down to 1 counter. Ingram going to take a look at the top 4. We will select to dig through time.
I do appreciate how quickly Ingram has put dig through time in his hand every time it has come up off of Narset.
I imagine it's the best card to take.
And that dig is huge for a couple of reasons. One, the obvious ones. But two, Ingram does have the architecture to combo out pretty quickly. The issue was his graveyard was a little bit too big to do everything in one shot. And now he gets to strip, in essence, 5 cards out of it and get that much closer to be able to do it all in one shot.
Ingram going to delve away 6 cards. It looks like it might be those 6 that he's holding and he's going to send away. Not entirely sure as he's mixing and matching these piles a little bit. All right, away those are going to go. Wienburg's going to take a look. Dig through time gets placed in the graveyard. And as usual, top 7, take 2. All right, looks like he's found what he's happy with. I think Thought Eraser might be among those cards.
Yeah, I think I think Ingram wants to try to set up a combo kill all in one turn while being as safe as possible from any potential top deck on Wienburg's side.
All right, those 5 cards go to the bottom. 2 added to the hand. A little bit of a lengthier dig through time there for Ingram. As he's going to play an island. Tap a bunch of mana. Are we going to go inverting right now? Okay. Well, let's see. The devotion is 7.
Yeah, so he can Jace plus, and that's -3 cards, and then,
Well, also he's got Thassa's Oracle probably in hand right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That he can, his devotion counts high and manipulate the.
And I don't think Ingram is in any risk of losing the game next turn. Would be my guess.
No, because Wienburg has no graveyard to work with, so there's not even a risk of him drawing Dig Through Time and chaining together multiple pieces.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, I suppose, is that Wienburg does have the Ipnu Rivulet at the ready. right?
Yeah, but that doesn't break up Jace wins.
It's true. Jace is going to mill over a couple of cards. And Thassa's Oracle. And we are done with game one. Peter Ingram's going to win game number one here over Ben Wienburg. The Dimir Inverter Mirror goes to the player on the left, as it has so many times here this weekend. Ingram up one step closer from winning his 4th SCG Tour Open.
Very impressive display. Got the card advantage rolling, and was simultaneously playing safe around everything, but wasted no time when he saw a window to go for the kill, and is up a game.
Sideboard, and this is where things are very different here for these two players. Now, if you were with us for round number 10 earlier in the day, our first round of the day, you saw us break this down there. We're going to do it again here with 3 Pack Rats, 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Cry the Carnarium, 2 Legion's End, 2 Jace Vryn's Prodigy and Negate, a Noxious Grasp, a Thassa's Oracle, and an Enter the God Eternals. You can see here, Patrick, that Ben's sideboard is much more geared towards beating, I would say, mono black and mono red as opposed to the mirror.
Right. I mean, you have an extra copy of Negate. That's fine. Thassa's Oracle, if you want to be committed to the combo, is fine, although I think that card often gets sided out in the mirror match. So you're really looking at the 2 copies of Jace Vryn's Prodigy, which are totally fine, and then 3 copies of Pack Rat, which I think Wienburg would probably say is largely here for the mirror match. But we have watched Ingram defeat multiple times already this weekend.
Other side of things here for Peter, he is very prepared for the Dimir Inverter Mirror match and 3 Jace Vryn's Prodigy, 2 Heroes Downfall to go along with the 1 in the main deck, 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Legion's End. A Narset Parter of Veils, you just saw how good that card was in game number 1. Cast Down Kalidas, Doomblade, Thassa's Oracle, and a Mystical Dispute.
I mean, we're going to see the Mystical Dispute come in, the extra copy of Narset, and then the Heroes Downfalls, the Jace Vryn's Prodigies, and at least 1, probably 2 copies of Legion's End. Maybe the card's a little questionable against only Pack Rat, but Wienburg has both Pack Rat and Jace Vryn's Prodigy in his sideboard, and I think that makes Legion's End a no-brainer.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They're going to smile, little chit-chat, get ready here for game number 2. Really, no one's been able to stop Peter Ingram so far here this weekend, and if Ben Wienburg can't stop him either, it's $5,000 that's headed his way, along with 30 SCG points. He's already locked up a qualification to our Season 1 Invitational at the SCG Center at SCG Con.
Okay. You fading a little bit?
In Roanoke, Virginia.
You fading a little bit?
No, I'm good. At the Berglund Center, I'm good. Player's Tour qualification, which he already has because he top-8'd the last one.
Right.
So, not bad. And then, you know what? A couple Cryptic Commands. Just because why not?
Why not?
You know what? We're very giving here at Star City Games and on the SCG Tour.
4 Cryptic Commands.
You got a playset now,
That's
Pete.
a whole playset.
That's right. Can you imagine if this deck had that card? It'd be impossible to beat. It's already really hard. Finalist here in Ben Wienburg. If he does lose this match, not going to call it over yet. Far from it. $2,000. 25 SCG points, an invitational qualification as well for both these players. And for either one of them, they're both going to the Players Tour in Charlotte later this year. So congratulations to both of them for that. And they're both getting 4 Cryptic Commands. We have so many.
Cryptic Command flooded.
Oh my gosh. So you see what these players are playing for. For Ingram, as I mentioned, it could be a 4th SCG Tour Open win. We don't really talk about him all that much with regards to players that have won a lot of Opens. You think of Erin Barrich earlier this year. She won her 3rd Open at SCG Knoxville with Golgari Yawgmoth in Modern. But, you know, we don't think of Peter as someone who's got 3 wins and is on the cusp of getting a 4th. And who knows, maybe a 5th later this year.
Yeah, there's been some spacing over time, and I think that sort of, you know, it's easier to keep track of all these things and to have it in the memory when it's all kind of stacked together in a short timeline. And Pete might be kind of trending towards that. I mean, this would be, you know, essentially back-to-back wins, 4th Open, or excuse me, 2nd Open win here in 2019, and 4th all-time. And that's rarefied air. I mean, we frankly do not have that many players who have played past or present who have built up that kind of resume.
His favorite band is Coheed and Cambria, and he might be celebrating with that music later tonight if he can win one more game. Really, as we've had a lot of great players here among the 801 that played in our main event, you know, I really think to myself that this one has been kind of Peter Ingram's from the start. I mean, 9-0 after day 1.
Start and middle and end.
Yeah. Just
every step of the way.
9-0 after day 1.
Yep.
First round today plays against Ben Wienburg, beats him, only 10-0 left. Does pick up a couple losses throughout the Swiss, one to Zorius Control, the other to that unique Golgari aggro deck that put on a heck of a show here this weekend. But number 1 overall seed in the top 8, because he locked it up earlier than anyone else could, excuse me. And now he's in the finals up a game. I mean, it's really been his tournament, and one could even say it's been just kind of his month.
Yeah,
with Richmond, Phoenix, and now this.
He's been on quite the roll. I mean, this is several years worth of good tournament results in the span of a few weeks.
Yeah, it's been really, really impressive, I have to say. To just see him kind of locked in right now. Had the opportunity to talk with him and, asked if anything has changed. Like, what has anything led to this kind of performance? And he said, I'm just playing a lot more. I feel like I'm really locked in right now with my play and, critiquing how I'm doing and trying out new cards and learning new things in every game that I'm playing. And, you can see it. And, the other thing, too, he said he's not really worried about his mistakes too much.
Yeah.
There was a turn I know that he played in the feature match area. I think it was a backup feature match where he could have played a Water Grave untapped. I think it may have been a match you and I were covering.
It was.
And that means, him not playing that Water Grave untapped means that Mystical Dispute was turned on from his opponent. And he said, that was just so stupid. And I'm like, there's so much going on in these games, man.
Yeah, you could have had 4 untapped mana to cast a Dispute and then also pay for a Dispute.
Yeah.
And with only 3 mana, couldn't do that. And it really mattered in the turn in question, and then the game got away from him. I don't know. You're 15 rounds and, top 8, looking at 18 rounds over 2 days. These games were really hard. It's a lot of mirror matches. The notion that you're going to be able to play perfectly and finish your rounds in time and not just completely fry your brain is an impossibility. And some of that, of course you want to play as well as you can, but you also got to be able to let go of the mistakes after they happen because,
they're going to happen.
And they're going to happen, and you've got better things to be focusing on. So you just got to let some of that stuff go.
Thoughts here from Ben. You see Heroes Downfall, Mystical Dispute, Inverter of Truths, along with 4 lands. So Ingram's laid him out, and we'll see what card Wienburg wants to take. Of course, Ben's going to consult his hand. You can see that Ben does have a Pack Rat in his hand, so you have to imagine that's the game plan, is to go to Pack Rat City.
I mean, he's got Thoughtseize, Pack Rat, and a 3rd land. He's like, okay, that's...
Yeah. Yo, Mono Black Devotion in the house.
Right. That's the reason to do this. It's the draw you want.
Ingram's draw is an opt. He'll start with a Swamp. Yep. And Ben, never shy.
No.
Let's get busy with the rat. Ingram going to play a draw on Catacomb. He'll opt. Does he find Fatal Push? Top card goes to the bottom. New card come in. Just a Fabled Passage. He'll pass the turn back. We know Ben's got land 3. He'll play it right away. Watergrave's going to enter the battlefield untapped. Beatdowns. Do we make a rat right now?
I don't think so because he's drawn the negate, so this allows him to cover against Legion's End, make the rat end in turn.
Looks like Thought Eraser was the draw. I know this is an interesting one too because Ben does have a copy of Negate in hand, but you could make the argument. You say, all right, that resolves.
You can't just spend your turn that way when you're on the Pack Rat plan. I think you just got to, yeah, that happens. It sucks. It does, blow up a little bit of what you were setting up there. But again, your head's down. You're on this path. You're giving Ingram a few draw steps to find 2 copies of a sideboard card, and you just got to try to run it down as fast as you can.
An incredibly easy choice there for Ingram to select the negate. So on the end step, Ben's going to make a rat. Beatdowns. Let's go in for 4.
And if I'm Wienburg here, I'm actually considering just making a rat before damage because I think beating Legion's End is just not happening.
Sure. So you got to close the game out as fast as you can.
Yeah. Sure. If there's any risk of giving Ingram one more turn, I think you got to just close that off.
Sure.
Because 2 rats, 3 rats, 4 rats, whatever. Legion's End is going to be a backbreaker. It's going to be really hard to come back from that, regardless of how many resources you have left over.
See, it had that land enter the battlefield untapped. I mean, it got real frisky.
Yeah.
Inverter time because he's also got Thoughts' Oracle, but I'm thinking Inverter I'm thinking Inverter just 6.
Yeah, and just spread out.
Spread it out,
and you get the negate back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
for sure. No, I think that's reasonable.
Here's an opt. Top card becomes the bottom card. You know that Peter's on the hunt. He needs a Legion's End. He found a Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. That's not what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, and one of the upsides of Pack Rat, regardless of whether or not you think it's good in the mirror match or not, something it does do is it makes opposing discard spells pretty bad. You make the game about something entirely different.
Peter was thinking about firing off this Thoughtseize. He's not sure he wants to. He's got to think about how much damage he could be taking. So here is a Thoughtseize. This will bring him down to 13. Goodbye Inverter. Thassa's Oracle is the last card. You mentioned about making the game about something else. I think you probably make a rat here for Wienburg.
Yeah, this is why, before I was thinking my intuition was just to make 1/4 damage, because if you have a Thassa's Oracle in your hand or not, if you get hit by Legion's End, I don't know how much of a difference that makes.
Sure.
But the points very well might.
Yeah, right now, if Ben were to make a rat on the end step, draw his card, make another rat, that would be an attack there 4, 8, 12, and Ingram would go down to 1, which is not none. So, the draw, the beatdowns. I'm a big fan of knocking him down to 1 and shutting off Watery Grave as a potential draw step.
Because you don't,
or not a draw step, pardon me, but just a thing that matters.
Definitely.
Right?
I mean, you just don't know, with a deck with so much card drawing, you don't know when a card finds a card, finds a card, finds a card, and then suddenly it matters.
Ingram at 4. Any Legion's End to be had? Well, of course he drew Dig Through Time, because why wouldn't he? Ring-a-ding-ding.
And to your point, like, a Dig Through Time finds an opt, and then if Watery Grave's in the mix, like, you don't know for sure, but it's not 0. And having one, probably rancid card left over if you get hit here, I don't know if that's going to make too much of a difference.
I spy a Legion's End.
And I think this is going to be Ingram swatting the Pack Rat plan into the 3rd row for at least the 3rd time on camera this weekend, if this resolves.
And what's been so interesting about this is here is a Legion's End to clean up the Pack Rats, where Ben would need to kill his own Pack Rat to take care of this, and he can't. So into the 3rd row it goes. Is that now Ben is left with nothing, but more importantly, we have seen this time and time again, as you mentioned, where the player with the Pack Rat is coming up just a little short, but because that's your entire game plan, you have to rebuild from essentially nothing.
I think that if you want to do the Pack Rat thing, you need to pair it with more negates. That's the sense that I'm getting is make a rat, all right, and now negate if you have a sorcery that matters, and otherwise make a rat. That seems really good to me. But if people are on to Legion's End, it's really hard to do it in time. I mean, Wienburg's draw was excellent. I mean, he went on the play, Thoughtseize, into Pack Rat, 3rd land, drew his 1 negate, and, obviously Ingram had to catch a break on the last turn, but he had a ton of looks at it along the way.
Wienburg's hand looks like 2 copies of Fabled Passage right now, if my eyes are not deceiving me, and they are not. And Ingram is going to start to pull very far ahead with this Jace, and now he'll play an opt on the end step. So, Peter going to take a look at that top card. Becomes the bottom one, and it's time to draw a mystery card. He's untapping. He's drawn. And remember, his deck is the one that's set up so well for the mirror. And so he'll sacrifice a Fabled Passage. Basic island here for Ingram. Wall-to-wall clinic here, folks.
9-0, last undefeated. And this will be the 3rd mirror match against a 3rd skilled opponent. If he's able to wrap this one up, which I think he will in short order.
Top 7, take 2. Looking at a great deck here, folks. Maybe not the best deck in Pioneer's history. I think that honor might go to Mono Green Devotion.
The early days.
Yeah, the very, very early days of things. where that deck was doing ludicrous things on the second and third turn of the game. But I think we got Pioneer's best deck right now, and now we gotta as a community figure out how to stop this thing.
This
if
is
we can.
the most commanding tournament that I've watched for a deck in a relatively new format a very long time.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. It really is. Well, Narset missed.
Pretty unlucky.
Could be anyone's game.
Ingram's in trouble.
Yeah.
You know.
Jace Vryn's Prodigy
Needed
now
the
as well.
card.
He sure did. Ben with a Fabled Passage and a mystery card in hand for his draw step.
It was the Rivulet.
Less of a mystery now as we head back over to Ingram. And for Ingram, you've got a pretty good idea, yeah, that the coast is clearer. But I like that he's reconsidering and not getting too far ahead of himself. He's got such a commanding lead in this game that he doesn't need to rush.
Right.
He just make sure.
Play around everything.
Yes. You got to play around one card and an Ipnu Rivulet, my friend. That's it. Inverter. Rivulet time. 2, 3, 4 cards placed into the graveyard. So it'll be a 5-card deck. Jace will draw 1 card.
Narset, you have Narset, a Loot, and then a Jace.
Okay.
Right.
So that's 5 cards total. So you need, I think you need a way.
I think he has an opt. I think he has opt in hand.
Oh well. That's a good one to have then. There's a land. 5 cards all day.
Yeah, just wait a turn too. I mean,
yeah, I guess what's the rush, as it were. If he gets his Jace blown up, what happens?
Well, he can do this all without spending mana and have Mystical Dispute back up.
Okay. So here's Narset.
So if Wienburg's on exactly 1 card, he's got Downfall covered.
Yep.
With a counter spell, and nothing else could be better than a Downfall here.
All right. Ding, ding. Whoop. Yep, I like pass.
Yep.
Now, if Ben draws Downfall this turn, he can pay.
Well, you see a little bit of a wait here. Oh, well, Ingram can just win in response to a Downfall.
Oh,
he has
sure.
opt
Jace
plus
opt.
Jace.
Okay,
so he's passing.
Yeah.
He has,
yep.
in quotes, lethal rolled up.
Yep.
If Wienburg doesn't do anything, then the draw step takes care of it.
Yep, good call.
And if Wienburg just has a Downfall, it doesn't even work here.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Get a little look.
The goods.
Yep, Ben's going to show him that I got nothing left, my friend. Peter Ingram, everybody. Wall-to-wall beatdown. A winner and your champion here at SCG Indianapolis.
I mean, this was a combination of player plus archetype as dominant of a performance in one weekend for Peter Ingram, and then Dimir Inverter in general after that. Many copies in the top 8, 3 copies in the top 4, mirror match in the finals. Peter Ingram 9-0 at the end of day number 1, as was Ben Wienburg. They squared off in round number 10. Peter was able to win there. Both these players ultimately made the top 8 as the first and second overall seed, rematched again in the finals, and Ingram able to take it home again.
Really, really, really impressive stuff for those Dimir Inverter fans out there.